Hey Hunters, Lord here, back with another Monster Hunter Wilds video. After a few days of painstakingly farming Savage Omega, I finally have all of his equipment. So firstly, in this video we will be going over all the new skills and set bonuses, and then I'll run you through what I think is a very solid set to utilize the new Savage Omega armor and its set bonus, as well as the new bonuses and skills from the new weapons. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. So up first, we have the new Omega armor. It, like many others before, it comes with both a 2-piece and 4-piece set bonus. So with the 2-piece set bonus, we get Resonance 1. So when the quest starts, local and remote resonance alternate, which increases either your attack or your affinity when conditions are met. So it will swap between local and remote resonance. When you have local resonance active, you need to be close to your fellow hunters in order to increase your affinity. And when remote resonance is active, you need to be further away from other hunters in order to increase your attack. You'll get a little notification on the right side. Every 90 seconds, it will swap between local and remote resonance. The amount of affinity or attack that you receive varies whether you are wearing the 2-piece or the 4-piece set bonus. So let's go ahead and talk about the 4-piece set bonus, which is Resonance 2. This increases the effect of Resonance 1. So again, you'll get more affinity or more attack if you have 4 pieces on with the local or remote resonance. And it also increases the effects of the weapon skills Synthetic Shield or Synergy. Synthetic Shield comes with the Sword and Shield from Savage Omega, and Synergy comes from the Insect Glaive. Don't worry, we'll touch on all that in a little bit, but for right now, let's go ahead and talk about the different stages of resonance. So with the 2-piece set bonus active, you will either get 10 raw or 20% affinity, whether you have local or remote resonance active. And then with the 4-piece, this jumps up to 20 raw or 40% affinity. So basically every 90 seconds, as long as you're either social distancing or hugging your fellow hunters, you'll have either 20 raw or 40% affinity, again switching every 90 seconds. These numbers come directly from Damo. If you've been watching the channel for any amount of time after Monster Hunter Wilds released, you should definitely know who he is. I'll leave a link to his YouTube channel down in the description. He's got a ton of great tips on bowguns and the new Savage Omega fight, so definitely go check him out down below. Now, before we jump into the weapon-specific skills, I wanted to let you know about today's sponsor. The way we learn so much about all the intricacies of Monster Hunter is by playing for hours on end, doing testing on all the different skills in the training area, and looking up useful guides, much like the one you're watching right now, that go in depth on what we want to know about all the crazy skills and the lackluster skill descriptions that we find in Monster Hunter. For someone new to the Monster Hunter series, it can be really overwhelming to grasp each little detail on the vast amount of skills, set bonuses, and the different interactions we have with monsters during our hunts. And very similarly, coding can be very daunting to look at first. Now that's where today's sponsor comes in, Boot.dev. Boot.dev is committed to helping you learn to code with engaging step-by-step lessons for scripts like Python, SQL, TypeScript, and many more. I personally have never coded before, but even I was able to write some code within minutes of my first lesson. To learn all this stuff at a college or university would cost tens of thousands of dollars over multiple semesters, but with Boot.dev, you can do it all from the comfort of your own home. They even offer free demos for every single course's interactive experiences. You can watch and read all of the content on their website, again, totally for free, but you can also use a paid membership to unlock the truly interactive experience with the hands-on coding. So just like upgrading your gear for the Omega fight, you can level up your coding skills. If you go to Boot.dev right now using the link down in the description, and you use code LordViettner, you can get 25% off of your first year by using the annual plan. This comes with a 30-day, no questions asked, full refund policy, so there's really no downside to giving this one a try. Huge thanks again to Boot.dev for sponsoring today's video. Let's hop back into the video. Alright, now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the weapon-specific skills. So by using the brand new Insect Glaive, which is called True Omega's Rod, you will get a skill called Synergy, which says it temporarily increases your affinity and the affinity of those around you after you use a Rising Spiral Slash, which is of course your highest damage and highest motion value move for Insect Glaive, so you tend to spam this quite a bit, so you can keep this up pretty consistently. For Synergy, without the 4-piece set bonus, you get plus 15% affinity whenever you use Rising Spiral Slash, So if you were to use True Omega's Rod with just a normal 4-piece Gore or 3-piece Arch Tempered set, you'd gain 15% affinity every single time you activate this skill. You can activate this skill over and over again even while it's active, and it lasts for 45 seconds. However, if you wear 4 pieces of the Savage Omega armor, your increase goes from 15% to plus 25% affinity, and it lasts for 1 full minute. However, as long as you are able to constantly spam your Rising Spiral Slash, you can effectively infinitely proc this skill, giving you plus 25% affinity all the time when wearing the 4-piece set bonus. The second Savage Omega weapon is a sword and shield called True Omega's Sword, and it comes with a skill called Synthetic Shield, which temporarily increases your defense and the defense of those around you after you successfully perfect guard. And just like Synergy, you can reactivate this infinitely. You don't have to wait for it to run out and then reactivate it again. If you're not using 4 pieces of the Savage Omega armor, it will give you plus 30 defense and of course plus 30 to those around you for 30 seconds every time you land a perfect guard. However, if you are wearing a 4-piece of Omega, you and your teammates will get 45 additional defense for 45 seconds. And with both of these, again, like I said, you can reactivate them repeatedly. You don't have to wait for them to finish and then get another perfect guard or Rising Spiral Slash to boost your teammates' defense or affinity. And you can even sheath your weapon. It's purely time-based, so once you land it, it will work for the amount of time that it is supposed to. If you sheath your weapon, it doesn't go away. You don't have to worry about anything like that. Now, when you activate these skills, a sort of like red pulsing circle will come out from your hunter, and I think that anyone within that vicinity will either get the affinity or defense bonus, and it will last the same amount of time for them. As far as I know, running Power Prolonger does not extend the duration of these skills, so you can't add additional time to these. You wouldn't really need to anyway, since you again can repeatedly reactivate them while they're active, allowing for infinite uptime without the need for Power Prolonger anyway, even if it did work. So as far as all of the new skills and set bonuses go, that is pretty much it. So up next, we'll go ahead and take a look at 2 different variations of this set. They're relatively the same overall, just one has a Rarity 5 RNG talisman that should be a little bit easier to get, and the second variation will drop about 10% affinity and will be designed more around a higher level charm, and the use of the Synergy skill on Insect Glaive, using that extra 25% affinity we get from wearing the 4-piece Omega set in order to achieve 100% crit. So here's the sort of easier setup overall with a Rarity 5 charm. As you can see, it is 1 level of Agitator, 1 level of Handicraft, and a level 3 slot. Again, this will work with 1 level of Weakness Exploit, 1 level Weapon Skill, and a level 3 slot. You'll just have to change around the decorations a little bit. If you do have a Weakness Exploit on your talisman, you'll just swap out one of the Tenderizer jewels that you can see here for a Challenger jewel. Again, it's 4 pieces of Omega with the Numinous Shroud Beta. Of course, we'll be using True Omega's Sword and True Omega's Rod. This one, again, comes with a little bit higher base crit out of the gate, since we will be using Omega's Sword for this one, and that gives us a defense boost instead of an affinity boost. As you can see here, we have 1 Challenger Jewel, 4 Tenderizer Jewels, and 3 Mighty Jewels, as well as a free level 3 and level 2 slot in the legs. You can use the level 3 and level 2 slot to fit in whatever you would like here. It's totally open, so you could go for Shockproof, you could go for any level 2 skills like earplugs or something like that. Again, this set is a little lacking for level 1 slots. However, with the Rarity 8 charm, we will have some level 1 slots, so we'll touch on that a bit later. The weapon decorations are totally up to your choice. Again, it's going to vary on a case-by-case basis. If you're fighting Omega with the Sword and Shield, you're definitely going to want Guard up 3 and Guard level 3. So you're going to change them around a little bit. Don't get too married to it overall. But with this general setup, we have Weakness Exploit level 5, Agitator level 5, Max Might and Divine Blessing at level 3, Evade Window at level 2, and Burst at level 1, and of course those 2 free slots in the legs, which you can slot in whatever you prefer. Of course, for the set bonus, since we're going for 4 pieces of the Omega armor, we have Omega Resonance 2. We already talked about that, but again, it's going to help extend the durations of both Synergy and Synthetic Shield, as well as give us the local and remote resonance to boost our attack or affinity. Now, because the affinity uptime on the local resonance is only about 50%, again, it swaps every 90 seconds, we're not going to be getting the full 40% all the time. So if we look at it as about an average of 20%, this set hits 85% base affinity with the 10% on the weapon, the 30% from weakness exploit level 5, and maximum might, as well as the bonus 15% we get when agitator is active. So if agitator isn't active, we're sitting around 70%. So if we can get local resonance up during that time to boost our affinity by 40%, that will push us over 100. And then of course, any time that agitator is active and we are able to get local resonance going, we're going to be easily over 100% crit. So things like Master's Touch duels here is going to be a very strong option. But again, the weapon decorations are completely up to you. But with the roughly average plus 20% affinity over the course of an entire hunt, if we assume 50% uptime for the local resonance, this should be hitting about 100% crit at all times as long as you're attacking weak spots. Now, if we go on and jump over to the higher rarity charm, you can see we have a rarity 7 charm here with attack boost level 3, agitator level 1, and 2 armor decoration slots. This allows us to easily slot in shockproof, adapt, flash, or really any other level 1 decorations that you would like to fit into this set. The armor pieces overall remain exactly the same. Again, the charm is the main change. Your mantle and your weapon decorations will totally vary, again, depending on the hunt that you're going on. So don't get too married overall to the weapon decorations here. Since I have attack boost 3 on the charm, I of course went for a flight/attack jewel here to get to attack boost 4 to allow for a percentage increase to my attack. And since we don't need as high of base crit because we get the plus 25% from synergy, I was able to go for burst level 5. But again, you can change out all of these chain decorations you see here in the armor for something else that you prefer. The refresh jewel is also totally interchangeable if you would like. I did that so that way I get my stamina back just a little bit faster, so that way I can keep max might up just a touch more often. The change from burst level 1 to burst level 5 is a grand total of plus 80 element, going from plus 60 with insect glaive to plus 140, and it is plus 10 raw, going from plus 8 overall on insect glaive to plus 18. So it's not a super efficient way to get a ton of element or to get a bunch of extra attack, but there's really not much else that we could fit in here into these level 3 slots that makes a lot of sense. So by jumping up to Agitator 5, Burst level 5, Maximum Might, and Divine Blessing level 3, dropping down to just a single level of Weakness Exploit, we can really rely on the plus 25% affinity we get from performing our Rising Spiral Slashes to activate Synergy, in order to again hit around 85% crit with all of these active. And then of course when we have local resonance active, we can use that plus 40% or the average of plus 20 over an entire hunt to average around 100% crit during our hunts. Again, depending on your luck with the RNG charms, you might not be able to get attack boost 4 and you can instead go for some sharpness skills. If I'm running up against Omega, I'm definitely running Razor Sharp instead. But in our more normal endgame hunts that are taking around, 5 to 8 minutes, the monster's moving around from area to area, having to sharpen between areas really isn't that big of a deal to me. We have super high crit already, so going for the attack boost instead of going for Master's Touch or Razor Sharp here was just my personal choice. Again, a lot of this is super customizable. I'm not telling you that this is the only way to make this build, but with that plus 25% affinity we get from Synergy, we can drop a ton of Weakness Exploit and still average 100% crit with our uptimes over a hunt. So this was how I chose to build it out. You get a ton of extra raw attack, gaining plus 8 overall from attack boost 4, as well as an additional 2% on attack boost 4, and another plus 10 going from burst 1 to burst level 5. But you could definitely swap out the 4 chain jewels here to fit in things like earplugs or part breaker or really whatever you prefer. It doesn't have to be a level 3 decoration that goes into a level 3 slot, of course, as you guys know. There's just a ton of customizability here. You effectively have 4 level 3 and 1 level 2 slots that you can customize with whatever decorations you want. But yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy, be sure to drop a like down below. If you're watching this on your mobile device, you can go down to the comments and swipe right one time to help hype up the video. It's a way that YouTube is introduced to help small creators like me get a boost in the algorithm. Both of those things are completely free, and I greatly appreciate your support. If you're new to my channel, new to Monster Hunter, or you want to see more videos just like this, then be sure to subscribe. With AT New Udra coming up this month, we're going to have a lot more great sets and ways to combine Lord's Soul. And if you don't want to miss out, then being subscribed is the best way to never miss an upload. I want to once again thank Boot.dev for their support of the channel on this video. Again, if you scan this QR code or if you head down to the link in the description and pinned comment and use code LordViettner, you can get 25% off of your annual subscription. With all that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I wish you all a good day and happy hunting.